What is up? What is going on, everybody? I'm Johnny Lynham from JohnnyLynham.com. And today we're going to be doing a reaction video to my guy, Patrick Bet David. They were talking about housing this week, and they had a couple different contrasting views for myself when it comes to real estate and the returns with real estate. And so, really diving in on, is the American dream being crushed by rising housing prices? There's different sides of the coin. I think for the average person, yes, but there are still opportunities in the market. So what we're going to do is bring on the video and walk through and kind of give you guys a little additional perspective to what they're looking at right now with the cost of housing and how that contrasts with the stock market today and just where things are going in the future.
The number one issue for young Americans this election is not student loans, not abortion or guns, but it's housing, okay? Housing. So what are they talking about? Housing, these young people. Housing affordability is the top election issue for Gen Z, according to a survey done by Redfin.
So that's one thing. Like, there are a lot of different topics that are at the forefront of this upcoming election. I'm not really diving into, any of the politics or any of that stuff right now. With everything that I do with being military, of course, we're apolitical. So, whether you're on one side or another or independent, doesn't really matter to me. But the topics, and when it comes to the economy and everything with real estate, it does matter what's going on. And so being able to have the ability to react one way or another, regardless who's in power, it allows you to have that flexibility to build wealth.
And with 12% of Gen Z respondents believe they will never own a home due to record high home prices, elevate mortgage rates above 7%, and expensive rents, Elijah De La Campa from Redfin noted the cost of starter homes has increased twice as fast as incomes. The median home sale price in the U.S. reached an all-time high of $390 May of 2023. Despite a strong economy with low unemployment and rising wages, many young Americans find buying a home impossible, with 42% of Gen Z receiving financial support from their parents for rent or housing costs. Holy shit. 42% of Gen Z is getting help from parents right now, while 90% of
it's bad out here. Like, we see the ramifications of inflation every day. The median home price in 2020 was $336,000. So it's gone up over $60,000 in less than 2 years. Think about that. The price of a home has gone up in America, on average, has gone up over $60,000 in less than 3 years. That's a lot. That is a lot. And we know wages have not gone up nearly that amount at all. So there's a problem here, but there are still opportunities when you start talking about creative financing, buying in the right areas, buying for cash flow from day one, regardless of what the interest rate is, but buying for cash flow allows you great opportunities out here.
of major metro areas saw an increase in housing supply. Home prices in the South, particularly Austin, Texas, and Northport, Florida, are falling. Tom.
So, no surprise. But this is what's going on. When you see an article like this, it really just pisses me off, because this is just a little pebble of what is a bigger affordability crisis that's been brought on by inflation and printing a bunch of money. That's what's happened here. And now this is, remember, I always talk upstream, downstream. You hear me talk about that. This is the downstream problem. This is the polluted little lake that's at the end of the creek and the river, and the creek and the river are bringing the bad water into the lake. And why is it bad water? Because it got polluted way upstream. This is what it is. Upstream from these people, that's while they were in high school, while they were in college, if they went to college, or serving a couple of years in the military, inflation was going crazy. We were printing money. We raised the price of assets. And now we have affordability crisis. So the number one issue for Americans when they say it's housing, well, what they're really saying is affordability in America. That's what they're saying. And they're saying currently the affordability is so bad that I got to think about getting support from my parents or living with my parents. That's what it is. And so if you let this in your mind be like, oh, it's the housing market, it's not. It's the leadership of this country, and it's the affordability crisis showing up as the number one.
And I think one of the things that you can look at, like, you can point fingers on what caused what and who's run up deficits when they were in leadership and in power. But at the end of the day it is what it is. And what are you going to do about it? And I think when we start looking at the opportunities that are out there, you got to remain flexible in how you execute it. If you're going to own a home and the price has gone up, guess what? You're going to have to find ways to create more income. looking at strategies like house hacking. We had a workshop this past weekend where we talked about the benefits of house hacking, where you're renting out an ADU, alternative dwelling unit that you have on your property, that maybe a studio apartment that you converted from a garage, or your basement, or maybe you're renting out by the room and charging rent for those who rent the other rooms in your house that you own. Now you're creating other income to help offset that mortgage, taxes, and insurance, those payments. And you have to become creative, because where we're going right now, real estate isn't getting drastically cheaper. It's a supply and demand problem that we have right here, and supply is still lagging behind, and it's going to be a while before we're able to catch up. So if you're looking for home ownership, you're gonna have to think outside the box. You're gonna have to change the way you approach it, and you can't approach this as you were two decades ago, or even 1 decade ago, because the affordability is no longer there.
One issue for this group, the affordability is hitting them hardest in terms of housing.
Well, let me talk to my Gen Z friends out there. I almost going to give an MLK speech right now. I have a dream.
Here we go.
I have a couch.
I have a dream. Exactly. I have a couch. Guys, the American dream, it's still alive and well in America. The only difference is the American dream has changed. The American dream of your parents and your grandparents
Facts.
no longer exists. The ability to get a job and work at the same job for 50 years and get a pension and retire and get a gold watch and say, hey, great job, and get a house and get a 2-car garage and have 2.2 kids and have a dog and just live in the suburbs and just have a two-car situation and just work for the same company no longer exists. So stop crying about it, that everything that happened in the past, in the 80s and the 90s, when your parents were starting to make money, has changed. So rather than cry about it and bitch and moan, oh my God, I can't do something.
This is literally what I just said, that you got to change your approach. You got to change and know that the rules to the economy have changed. Now, what are you going to do about it? And that's the thing where we talk about creativity with seller financing. You look at taking advantage of like the residential loan programs out there. You look at how you can go in and look at different unique boutique loan products that's out there with DSCR to get investment properties. Or we talked about house hacking, live-in flips, where you go in, you renovate the house, force appreciation, add value, and now you live in it for 2 years, and then you go and move out and you do it again and you sell it, or you keep it as a rental. And there's multiple strategies to get there, but you can't approach this like he just said. You can't approach this like your parents did during their generation, or the math's not going to math. It's not going to work out for you.
Different. What's the definition of crazy? Doing the same thing over and over and over again
with no result
and expecting the different results. So what's different? I always say this. The best thing you can do, especially when you're 20s and 30s, to you guys out there, women, you have a different objective, okay? For the men out there, I would encourage you to do the following. Understand this basic concept. The number one thing you can be doing in your life right now, before you have kids and a family, as you're working on your career, purpose over pleasure, purpose over punani, is understand this concept.
He's telling you right.
Low overhead and high flexibility is the key to your life right now.
And I think, he said it, but a lot of people don't agree with it. But you got to focus on what's at your best interest. You got to get past the pleasure. You got to get past the instant gratification. And you got to do the things that are in your best interest long term. And so right now in society where we are with the instant gratification becomes extremely hard for people to focus and look at making sacrifice today when they're not going to see the benefits of it for 5-10 years down the road. But you got to do it. You got to pay the cost today to be able to pay any price in the future.
Keep your costs low, keep it moving, keep it grooving, and keep your flexibility high, because you don't know where you're going to end up in the next 2, 5, 10 years. You might work for this company, an opportunity comes up. You might be in New York, you might be in Boston. You might go from Boston to Austin. All of a sudden you're in California. Fuck California, moving to Florida. Well, cost of living in Florida is a little too high. Boom, I'm going to North Florida. Keep it moving. So the cost of a house, when I started doing financial content in 2016 to 18, how much was the cost of an average house in America? $250,000. Okay. How much is the average cost? They say is a median house in America now? $400,000. What's the exact number, Tom?
$390,613.
So save that extra 10 grand, put that into to the stock market. What's my point? So if you can't buy a house, stop bitching about it and do something different. Go get a roommate, live with your girl, split the rent, figure it out. I get it. If you have low overhead, take all that extra money that you would typically be pumping into a mortgage payment, into taxes, into insurance, into maintenance, into HOA, and just invest in the market. Now, where should you invest in the market? Get a 401k, get a Roth IRA, get index funds, get crypto. Like Pat always talks about, non-duplicatable assets, get some cards. Just do something different. Because the reality is this, are interest rates coming down anytime soon, Tom?
No, but the end of this year, there's still going to be mortgages like 6.75.
Bingo. So rather than sit around being like, I don't have a house, just do something different. And that's what I've done. There you go.
You know, Rob, pull up what I just showed you, what I just texted.
You know, and that brings up a great point, you know, the interest rate. A lot of people get caught up on the interest rates and think, oh, interest rates are 6.75, so therefore I can't buy real estate. That's not true. Like there are so many different opportunities out here where you can get creative financing. You can bring low down payment loans to get into real estate. Because the thing is, when you look at real estate, there's more than just, you know, the intrinsic value of having a house. Like over time, looking at appreciation long term, you know, when you're looking at investment property, you got passive income that's coming in. You got the tax depreciation, so you have advantages there. And then guess what? You also have your tenants and residents that you're paying down your mortgage payment each month. So you're adding to your principal and getting more and more equity as you continue to own long term. Because guess what? If you bought a house in 1970 in Los Angeles, do you think it's worth more now or back then? Of course, with inflation and everything, it's worth more now. So if you go and look at that same $10,000 that you put down on a property to get into that deal back in 1970, now look at that 10,000 and how it's grown in appreciation of that building, of owning that asset, versus if you had put that 10,000 in the stock market. What, maybe you made, you know, what, 200, we'll say you made 300,000, but that property is easily, if you bought $100,000 house in the 70s in LA, that house is probably easily over $1 million. And you just put probably less than $10,000 down. So you have to look at the holistic picture when they start talking about real estate, because there's more benefits than just saying that, oh, I have a house and I have a housing payment. Like, you're buying an asset.
Texted you if you could do that. After that fantastic Adam Luther King speech.
There it is. I have a dream.
Exactly.
Was just,
I can sum it up. Get mad and vote.
A-OK, Rob.
The voting isn't going to do anything about the home prices, though.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a part of it here that if you can, you got to, Rob, close that and go to the bottom. There you go. Go a little lower. Okay, so check that out. So that's inventory versus price of existing homes. Now, that only goes till 2022, right? The blue shows median price of existing homes. Keep climbing, right? Jeez. The green is inventory, right? Is inventory. If inventory keeps going lower and lower.
That is why you need to own real estate. We have a long ways to go to recover when it starts coming to demand. And to supply. You see where the demand is with the price of housing is going up, but the inventory compared to where we were in the past is low. And now we got more and more millennials that's looking to buy. They're forming families. People are moving to certain areas in the South. And when you look at it, and we have the silver tsunami where we have a lot of baby boomers who the majority, their number one preferred asset, they knew it was real estate, and they own a lot of real estate, and they're looking to fully retire and step away from being owner operators and being hands-on landlords. And there's going to be a great transfer of wealth the next decade. I'm telling you right now, for those that know the strategies that we talk about with REI Genius on how we buy off-market deals, how we make connections with brokers to get these assets and take them in with creative financing, regardless of what the interest rate are, what the interest rate is, we're going to crush it. We're building so much wealth. When you look at it, I was talking this weekend about the 18 unit we bought in 2020. We bought for $1,050,000. I got an offer this past week for $2.4 million for that same apartment building. They did want to do some creative financing, where they push out the payment over a couple years. But they did say, hey, right now your building's worth $2 million. We'll pay you $2.4 million if you give us terms for long term. I'm not interested in selling. It's paying $5,000 out a month after expenses. We're raising rents up about $100 across the board. So it's going to be bringing in even more income as well in the future. But I tell you that you got to own real estate. Look at that. Look at the supply. Now you just get good at getting deals. And guess what? You're going to ride that wave, because guess what? Rents aren't going any lower.
Lower and lower. Prices go up. I mean, this is like the basic supply and demand, right?
Yep.
So the whoever becomes and the types of homes they're no longer building is starter homes. Like, it's almost like this. Like, imagine you come to my dealership What is the average salary coming out of college? Just give me a number. Let's say $50,000. Okay. So imagine in America, all of a sudden, if you're making 50 grand a year, what apartment rent can you afford at 50 grand a year? You can live by yourself. What rent can you?
$1,500, $2,000.
Let's say $1,500 a month. Let's say $1,500 a month. Okay, $1,500 a month. What am I getting? Studio, one bedroom. I'm not getting anything crazy.
Yeah, it depends on what city you're living in, and you're getting a half a shoebox in New York. You're getting
on the city,
a decent apartment in Oklahoma
or a studio. Is that fair?
Yeah,
2 bedroom or
A
studio.
2 and 2 or studio.
Yeah,
exactly.
So this is the problem, Adam. That's a real issue that people who you're voting for, this has to be something that the younger audience, Gen Z, you have to be asking about. So imagine all of a sudden, the average kid coming out of college, rent, he can afford $1,500, she can afford $1,500. What is the average car payment you can afford when you come out of college?
Jeez. You can't.
No, you can't afford. Just give me a number.
200.
No, you're not going to find nothing at 200.
Yeah, you're not going to find a car payment below $500 and a new car payment.
Rob, what do you want to say?
But what kind of car are you getting? Are you going cheap?
No, forget about it. What can you afford?
any
Give me a
car.
payment.
Yeah.
You could probably afford around $300, which isn't.
There's a lot of different ways that you can end up with getting into real estate and getting into the property that you want. Being able to make the adjustment is going to be critical to you being able to find success in everything that you're looking to do in your life. And the sooner that you're able to do that, the better off you're going to be with creating wealth for your family, creating generational wealth, and being able to move forward in this economic time. Because guess what? The times have changed, but you got to make sure that you're having that flexibility in your execution in order to change with the times and to be able to deliver, because there are still opportunities in real estate. We were able to build up a $14 million portfolio, the majority of that in the last 2 or 3 years, but guess what? Getting around the right people, learning the right strategies, getting to small apartment buildings, being able to put deals together creatively, and then buying in great areas that still cash flow, like across the state of Alabama. So with that, if you guys are interested in learning more, we just had a workshop. We'll have another workshop coming up here soon, and really getting in on being able to share with you guys how you can change your life through real estate. So make sure you connect with me. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button. Go to johnnylanham.com. Would love to have a one-on-one consultation with myself or with somebody on my team, with one of our coaches, to kind of hear what you're trying to do in real estate and let you understand how some of the strategies you can use, and then how, if it's a good fit, how we can help you get there a whole heck of a lot faster, leveraging the same strategies that we have used in building wealth, and so many of our other clients are using right now, and changing their lives through real estate. So you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the next video.